All right, joining us today on Pirate Radio Live, Jim Szoke. He'll be on the call for ECU football once again in 2025. Jim, welcome back to football season. How you doing, sir?
Doing well, Clip. Hope you're doing well.
Absolutely. Fired up, ready to go for Thursday and beyond with another start to a football season. And, Jim, let's go ahead and get right into it. The Pirates, they don't get a warm-up this year. They get right into it with NC State on the road. And I know you've been around some this offseason, Jim. So the narrative has kind of been, hey, the offense is ready to go from day one. Defense, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But how do you kind of generalize the Pirates heading into week one this year overall?
Yeah, I think a lot of that narrative is based on we know so many of these returning players. Obviously, when you have the offensive coordinators the same, you got the quarterback the same. Some of the receivers and running back room are offensive line, tight end. So we know a lot of those. A lot of the change has been on the defensive side. So not that it isn't good. It's just we don't know what it is because it's a mystery. But I've got a lot of faith in Coach Aldridge that he's come in and he's got a plan with Blake Harrell that they're going to have a good defense this year. And I think, like last year, how many of us were talking about Jamarly Riddle? I think we might be talking about Rasheed Reason and players like that coming up here in the next couple of weeks. So I think there's a lot of talent over there. It's just a matter of we've not seen it in game action. So I'm excited to see that on Thursday.
Very good point, Jim. We've kind of talked about it. I asked the question, outside of Caden Hauser, who's the most important player on this team? Like, if you take this person away, it could lead to some bad things. And everybody kind of went offensive with Anthony Smith and some guys. But my point to bring up that question is we have really not a lot of known commodities on the defensive side. But to your point, somebody's going to step up, whether it be a new guy on the line, whether it be a linebacker. We love our safeties with Tegan Wilk and Riddle.
Yeah.
You like Reason at corner. So one of those guys is going to step up and be that guy on defense. And who knows, maybe a new star or two on offense. Excited to see Parker Jenkins. Excited to see Quez Petaway. So pretty good mix of knowns and unknowns heading into week one, I guess.
Yeah, I've talked to the coaches this week. They're really excited about what they're going to get out of that pass rush. I think they feel like they've got four deep that are really going to get after the quarterback, which is huge. Obviously, we know you got to be able to stop the run, but I think they feel really good about some of the returning guys, but some of the new guys that are up front. You mentioned Tegan Will coming back, Xavier McIver coming back in the middle of that defensive line. Those are big. Hearing a lot of great things about Jaquez Petaway, and obviously I was out there for spring football and some of the other times. But I asked them, does he compare – he doesn't have to be like the same player, but does he compare to Winston Wright? And they say, yeah. So if you got a Winston Wright type player coming in for Winston Wright to go with Anthony Smith, to go with Yannick Smith, Brock Spalding being out there and some of these other guys, I think it's going to be great. And London Montgomery, we got to see enough of him last year at running back to know that he could be that big, he could be this year's Rajay Harris as far as, being the main guy. But he doesn't have to do it all by himself. Marlon Gunn is back. You mentioned Parker Jenkins coming in. So that's an experienced back coming in. A lot of experience on the offensive line. So I think there's a lot of reason to be optimistic. No doubt the schedule overall is tougher than what it was last year, but I think talent-wise, this team is going to be right up there with what it was last year.
Jim, sometimes I think the coaches have a bit of a sense of humor when they put out a depth chart for everybody to see, and they throw all them oars up there. And we got a lot of oars at running back. From the questions you've asked, from what you've observed, what's your best guess at the ratio with the running backs, the split carries between the three? John David Baker told me, media day, he wants three guys to play and touch the ball on Saturdays, and those three look to be, as you said, Montgomery, Gunn, and Parker Jenkins. How do you think the split goes between those guys?
Yeah, I think we all know London will see first, so he'll be the main one, and then we'll see if he gets a hot hand and things are going well, keep him out there. But also, I think why they like to rotate is the same reason they rotate on defense is to have fresh legs for the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So, it's in today's world of football now against NC State. Like in the trenches, you'll be playing a really big offensive line for this defensive line going up against. I think the same thing for the running backs. It'll probably take some big hits, and it'll kind of wear you down as the game goes on. But if you can spread it out during the course of the game and be fresh for the fourth quarter, that way you have as much London as you've got Parker Jenkins or whatever come the fourth quarter.
Jim, you had a bird's eye view of just the turnaround, the flip that was ECU football in 2024 from the first half of the season to the second half, and saw a coaching change, a quarterback change, and the Pirates really run the football well down the stretch. And a lot of it, too, was the nothing-to-lose attitude. And a big question this offseason is, can you carry that over into this year? Does Blake Harrell get tight? The pressure, does it get to him being the full-time head coach now, or can they go out there and go for it on fourth down and have fun like they did at the end of last year? So how about that part of it, Jim? Do you think we'll still see these nothing-to-lose Pirates entering 2025?
Yeah, I think they'll be smart about it. I think last year, I think back to like how the season started with this kind of turbo, frenetic offensive pace, and what that did was wear out the offense and the defense. So I think you were kind of beating yourself in a way where it's like you jump out. We saw it with App State and Liberty. You jump out to a 17-0 lead, a 20-0 lead, and then you were exhausted and your defense was exhausted, and those teams would come back on you. I think they learned from that you can play tempo ball, and they're going to still play tempo ball and get after it and be a team that creates chaos on defense. But you got to be smart about how you do it and when you do it situationally. So I think it'll be a little bit of a blend that was learned, that Blake being here, John David Baker in his second year, philosophy wise. I think you'll still see them push that gas pedal, but do it in a smart way where it's to your advantage. And if you've got a big lead, maybe ease up a little bit, to play the slow game, let that clock run a little bit, things like that.
Jim Szoke joining us today on Pirate Radio Live. Jim, have you already signed an extension so you can call a game in Bryant-Denny Stadium next year? How about that news that came out earlier today?
I better be here for that one. I'm excited about it. I saw that come out this afternoon, and that's exciting. What a great way to start the season. We can only take one big opener at a time, though, right? Like the coaching staff clip, so we can only talk so much about it. However,
there you go.
I have done a game there before. National radio game against Kentucky, homecoming game down there. Obviously, it's a great atmosphere and it's fun. Pirate Nation is going to enjoy having that road trip down there, but that's an exciting one to start off next season in 2026.
Well, Jim, you've been everywhere in the NFL. You've been all over the colleges as well. Is there a bucket list stadium you haven't been in that you'd like to call a game in at this point?
Oh, there's a lot of college ones I haven't been to. NFL, I've been to all of them, obviously. And as a baseball fan, I've hit the big ones for me. I hit Wrigley, I hit Fenway, even
Nice.
the Dodger Stadium. So those are the big ones I wanted to see. But college football-wise, yeah, there's a long list of SEC and other ones I'd love to get out there and go see and call games in person. I have the most fun when I'm working them and calling them. And Andrew and I are funny. Andrew Bays and I, we let David Horn get in there early. We help him carry the equipment up, and then we get out of his way for 3 or 4 hours, and we just talk our way around campuses. And watching us walk and talk our way around the military campuses, that was fun, especially Army. Just such a lockdown situation at West Point. We were able to talk our way into places we weren't supposed to go. So we will definitely get the most out of any road trip and seeing the other facilities.
That's really cool. We'll have Andrew Bays on the show tomorrow, talk to Kevin Monroe on Friday. They're fired up for another year of Pirate football. And Jim, now that Terry McLaurin is signed, I'm going to allow the NFL season to begin next week. That was a sigh of relief for me and Commanders fans yesterday. What's the pulse of the Panthers nation right now? How are they feeling heading into year 2 of Canales, year 3 of Bryce Young?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of optimism about improvement, and I think it's kind of one of those years where nobody's put their finger on what that number is, going from 2 to 5 wins last year. Could it be 5 to 8 or 9? I think that's what most people are anticipating being a reasonable expectation. Would love to see them exceed that, but just kind of what would be the natural progression of this team. And I think for Bryce, spending a top 10 pick on a number 1 receiver, you hope, in Teteroa McMillan, if he comes through, would be huge with what they've already got. Having 2 great running backs, adding Rico Dowdle from your hated Cowboys coming in to join that Panther backfield with Chuba is great. And then I think the fact that the defense, they plugged a lot along that defensive line. I mean, Jarrell Rivera is a good defensive coordinator. Once he lost Derek Brown and Shaq Thompson, they got thin really quickly up there. So what they did by obviously having Derek back is the biggest thing, but adding guys like Pat Jones, Bobby Brown, and some others, Turk Wharton, into that defensive line mix is going to make them a lot better. It has to. Veteran personnel guys that have been around for a long time, they're just upgrades across the board. And Trayvon Merrick from the Raiders at safety. So a lot of really good additions. I think fans, as far as picking a young guy, someone like Lathan Ransom, the safety from Ohio State, if he's not starting day 1, I anticipate he'll be starting at some point this season. He looks like he's already got it figured out.
Jim, I'm reluctant to bring this up because you probably don't love talking about it. We kind of laugh at it and marvel at it, but the travel you go through during the football season. How's your schedule this year as far as, do you have any hell weekends? Is it manageable? How you doing on that end?
It is. It's become, to some degree, a little bit more reasonable. I do work every single game, but like how Kevin and Andrew share the color commentating, I do the preseason play-by-play, and then there's 3 of us to do the 2 roles of color, and the other 2 are pretty well known, Jake Delhomme and Luke Kuechly. So between the 3 of us, 2 of us do every game. And I was scheduled to do Arizona, and I said, I am not going to be able to get from ECU Campbell to Arizona. I mean, it wasn't even like a possibility. What I do for those games is I do the pregame, halftime, postgame from studio, and then I'll do color on the usual number of games. We all do about 10 to 12 games counting preseason. So for me, that one would have been impossible. And then the one that I am scheduled for is going to be the most interesting. Is I'm anticipating Temple on the road being an early game because it's Temple in Philadelphia in November. I'm anticipating early afternoon game. I've got to get to Green Bay, which means fly to Milwaukee and then drive almost 2 hours from Milwaukee to Green Bay once I land. So that could be my Liberty Las Vegas combo this year if something gets a little bit off kilter.
Lightning, stay away, please. Jim, it is really neat to talk to you, man, because I'm a fan of yours when it was you and Mick and Eugene, and I always looked at you like a kind of a Dennis Miller with football knowledge, like when he was on Monday Night Football, because you brought the football, but you'd always have one-liners and quips, and I just loved y'all's chemistry that y'all had in the booth.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I can't help myself, unfortunately. A little bit less political humor, a little bit more football and
Yeah, you're right.
style.
Yeah.
I mean, we could chop up the politics, but I don't want to. It's too much on the football field. But it's like, yeah, I've enjoyed 31 years of being there. We started out with Roman Gabriel and Bill Rosinski, and then you said Mick and Eugene, and now Anish with Luke and Jake and the guys. And we've just been really fortunate. Even in the preseason, working with Kevin Donnelly and Kurt Coleman as my color announcers. We just not only have great history with these players and people with this organization, but just good personalities to go along with the football knowledge that they bring. So I've been really blessed in that way.
Awesome stuff. Well, Jim, have a great call on Thursday night. We'll talk to you again down the road, and appreciate it as always, man.
Looking forward to Thursday. Thank you, Clip.